5:30, so we're going to get the meeting started. We've got some people Zooming, I think they're on. But let's start with our Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we start, we're going to need a motion to include, I see Adam cannot Zoom, he's stuck, but David is, so if somebody could just we'd include them in the meeting. You want a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Are you there, David?
I heard it.
Okay.
I'm actually in the car right now, so I'm not going to turn the video on.
Oh, okay. Did everybody get a chance to look at the minutes from our February 4th meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Did anybody find anything that we need to? Any changes, any errors, any typos?
I move that we accept the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So for new business, item A, we're going to discuss and review a special use permit for the Methodist Church, the Columbarium and Memorial Garden. So if Robert can come up and,
Yes, ma'am. So I was taking notes on the motions and whatnot. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Mr. Chair remotely. This is the special use permit that was brought forth by the Wrightsville United Methodist Church to place the Columbarium and Memorial Garden at 4 Live Oak Drive. I've included all of the application, which we've actually seen this when we were going through the text amendment, because it was really the best example for what was intended for the text amendment for this community. Basically, a summary of the request is to allow a special use permit for the installation of a columbarium and memorial garden within an existing 10 by 70 side yard, which is currently just dirt and grass. They were going to add landscaping, the columbarium on the left as you're facing the alleyway, and some nice landscaping and decorative features throughout the garden for burying ashes and the internment into the columbarium whenever it's completed. The use of environmentally sustainable materials, which are included into the landscaping and integrated into the garden and the existing site. It has a minimal impact on the neighboring properties because it does meet our current fence ordinance. Like I said, when we were going through the text amendment to make this possible, it is more closely associated with the fence, aligning with the fence as far as our land use is concerned. The height would be limited to 6 feet, and it would be a substantial improvement over a chain link fence that's currently there now. There's no anticipated increase in traffic, noise, or infrastructure demands as a result of the project, and the planning board is asked to review the application and determine whether the proposed use meets the zoning requirements and standards for a special use permit under section 15545 of the Unified Development Ordinance. We did have a technical review, which included myself, the fire chief, police chief, and the director of public works. The fire department had no concerns. Public works had no issues. They were not concerned about drainage, and there's currently no easements over the project site, so there were no concerns there. The only concern that the police chief thought of was potentially adding a lock to the back of the gate to make it inaccessible from after hours, make it inaccessible from the shopping center side Currently, there's no lock on it, but they haven't had any issues. I know the applicant had maybe thought about putting security cameras back there. That was really the only feedback we had during technical review. I have included the application in its entirety, the planning board statement of consistency, which simply meets our management goal to promote an appropriate balance between private property rights, economic development, and environmental protection and community cohesiveness. Our planning objectives, according to our land use plan, are our policies that promote an attractive community and a high quality of life and a unique sense of place while mitigating risk to public health, safety, and welfare. And our implementing actions for the land use compatibility. The town encourages the improvement, preservation, and enhancement of the town's neighborhoods. We believe that the staff believes that this project meets all the criteria of our land use plan, and we do recommend that the special use permit proceed and be issued. Public notice was published in the Wilmington Star News. Now I'm drawing a blank on what day I advertised it. It was 10 days ago, whatever that date was. It was 10 days from today. According to our ordinance, it only has to be advertised one time, whereas the Board of Aldermen has to be advertised twice. I also posted the site and I sent out letters to adjacent property owners, adjacent being defined in our ordinances, or anyone within 150 feet. There are plenty of letters of support, including those people who've been notified who are in the immediate surroundings. And we've already reviewed this when we went through the text amendment process, but if anyone had any questions, I will be happy to try to answer them. The applicant is also here, but I would just remind the planning board that the Board of Aldermen cannot consider anything that the planning board says for the purposes of a quasi-judicial decision, which means that any questions or discussion would simply be recommendations to the applicant to include at their own discretion before they present it to the Board of Aldermen. And that's all I have for you.
All right, does anybody have any questions for Robert? You?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned 150 feet.
Yes, sir.
So there were only two that were.
No, there were there are actually quite a few. I sent out I want to say 8 envelopes. So there's some residential across the street, and then there's actually 2 houses to the south of the site. They own things so the parcel is quite large. So I feel like we sent a letter to the real estate location across Causeway, just because that one parcel is so big and we measure it from the parcel itself. So even though they're nowhere near the site, because it's associated with the parcel, I think they got notice as well.
Is that a similar situation that we had, with CPATH where? the
Right,
dumpster location and the lot
in
thing?
my opinion, they misinterpreted the notification standard, and when they came back with their application, they had sent out everyone within 150 feet of the edge of the parcel, because as you pointed out, I believe that if you measure 150 foot from the middle, then you would have to notify no one, and that defeats the purpose of the notification rules, statutes. So yeah, we measure from the outside of the parcel, not
So
the
this-
center.
The documentation doesn't show the other parties that were notified.
Right, that's correct. I'm sorry. That I actually have that information. I apparently failed to update the packet for the planning board.
What you did was put those that wrote on.
The original 2, and then we came back and said there's more, and then they provided us with stamped envelopes, and I missed that page. Apologies for that. Yes, ma'am.
Is that an easement going in on the 10-foot alley?
There's no easement there.
Or is that a town, is that town property?
No.
Okay, because somebody told me there was a cut through there from Harbor Island that the town actually owned by the
There's
town.
no, are you talking about the length of that alleyway? Because,
No, behind it, running perpendicular.
I don't, let's see. I mean, we looked at surveys, and
You can see it on page 21.
Tenfoot alley.
oh, it actually stops, I believe, before you get to where that alleyway, so there's,
Yeah, I'm not worried
Possibly
about
gate
them.
there.
I just, is that an open alley to that point?
that is actually, yes, you are
But,
correct.
but that would stop, the wall would block cutting through there, correct?
It actually stops at the edge of the building, from my understanding.
That might be why the police
It
chief
stops here at
recommended
the
the
edge of
lock,
that
is that alley
building, right?
right there, and then the
Not
shopping
through
center.
that alleyway.
I think there's
I thought they were talking about the lock going this way.
There's already a gate there.
That's what
But
I'm
it's
saying.
not locked.
Yeah, we're talking about the
This
same
is
place.
just a Memorial Garden.
Right.
And then, and there's a gate here as well, right?
Okay.
And that's the one that I think the police department was suggesting.
Yeah.
Right, so just for clarity, that would not be blocked off, inaccessible. That actually has a gate there now, but it does not lock. It's still passable through.
Okay, so that is public property going through there. Is that correct?
Well, it is a
The alley-
10-foot
the
access
alleyway is.
easement, right.
Okay.
Yes,
And is it currently open?
it is open. Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, there's a gate there, but it doesn't lock.
No, I meant like behind the houses. Is it
Yes,
open?
you can, yes.
Okay.
I've actually been out there and had to run somebody's fire table out of the easement.
Okay.
So yeah, now that you mention it, yes.
Because, that would still allow people, if they wanted to cut through there, it wouldn't affect, even if they had that gate locked there.
Right, well, that's not the gate that the police chief.
No, they want the one facing west to potentially be locked.
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah, the one
That's what I'm
that
saying, so
stops
it wouldn't affect people cutting through there because it's just a gate that's
That's
unlocked again.
correct.
Okay.
that's right. The one that the police chief suggested was the one that meets the
The
edge
west.
of the building.
On the west side of the building,
Yeah.
okay,
So because that is an alleyway, it's-
okay.
All right, are there any more questions for Robert?
Yeah, I think this is pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
Yeah, since
Pretty
we can't make a recommendation anyway, unless you guys have a question
I
for the
don't have any
applicant.
concerns at all.
I don't have
No
any
concerns.
concerns, and if there's no questions for the
We're here
applicant.
if you have any. Thank you.
So does anybody have any
I think
questions
we
for the
went through
applicants?
all our concerns and everything last time.
David?
David?
Sorry, nope, I'm good.
Okay. No questions?
No questions.
No questions.
All right, so if this is not anything that we will vote on, and so we don't need a motion, other than to say that we are all in agreement or again, we can't make a recommendation, but I don't
well,
see.
any recommendations that you would make, like I
Would be
said,
to the
would be to the
applicants.
applicant.
It would just help
To
them,
just-
Yeah,
help
to
them
help-
prepare.
For them to go to the Board of
Because
Aldermen, so.
right, the Board of Aldermen may ask questions that they didn't think of, and so
Yeah,
we're helping them out with.
I think they've covered it so
I
thoroughly.
think,
Yeah.
I think
There's
it's
really-
been covered very thoroughly, so,
Put a lock on the gate.
yeah, put a lock on the gate and move forward,
Just not on the alleyway side.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, a
So,
lot,
that's-
because he recommended it, it's a good idea.
So that's it for that. Yes.
Thank y'all.
Easy
All right,
peasy, thank
thank
y'all
you.
very much. All right, moving on to old business. Anybody have any old business?
Not at this time.
David?
I think because he's driving, he keeps
Yeah.
muting, and it takes him a second to unmute.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm back. Nope, nothing for old business, sorry.
okay, no old business, any other business from David, myself, anybody? No?
No.
Okay,
I just wanted to update you, we finally got, the rules of order that you all voted on will go to the next, Board of Aldermen, meeting. I've submitted the final draft with the notes from the minutes from the meeting that you voted for, so that'll be at the next, Board of Aldermen meeting along with, the columbarium will also go. to
when
the-
is their meeting? Is it this
It's
week or next
the
week?
13th,
So it's next week.
right. That's all I
And you
have.
are preparing the us changing our role.
Right, yeah, that's a work in
Does
progress.
that have to go, who okays that, the board or does?
Well, it's a land use decision, so it goes to the planning board and then the board of
Oh,
aldermen
it
makes the
comes to
final
us first,
decision.
yeah, I got it.
You review it and
Yeah.
then make any suggestions for
Yeah, I
change,
remember you told me that.
and that's all I had. I don't know if Tony has.
Tony?
So that's it from staff as far as I know.
So do I have a, motion to adjourn?
Just one question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Robert, or Tony, any sense of what's coming down the pipe for the planning board?
You know, Robert is gonna be working on the, conditional use. And I'll be working on some changes in the Marina District as far as setbacks. That's something that's on our plate, those two things, so.
Conditional zoning is
One
what
before the other,
Conditional uses for us to do
It's
it
gonna be
right.
conditional zoning,
before that, for those things?
maybe the text amendment to the Marina District first, maybe next month.
Oh, it's a
But
text.
we're still
okay.
working on the conditional zoning and the lighting too.
Lighting.
The
Yeah.
changes to the changes to the setback in the commercial are
It's just
pretty
text.
straightforward because we'd already discussed them and nobody understood why the setback for a conditional or a special use permit in commercial was 20 feet. It was like, why do you need 40 feet between those buildings? There's not, so, I think that's pretty much the low hanging fruit. We just need to tighten it up.
Okay,
So back to a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
that was a quick one.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.